All right, so here's our Pro Tools session, okay? And what I've done is I've also added a couple tracks. One track here for the cue beeps, one for the ADR composite track. We're actually going to record in this track, and then we'll use this to make our composite also. Good thing to go to feet to frames. We're going to make our cue beeps. Okay, so this is how we make our cue beeps. We're going to go to feet and frames, and we want to put this to one frame, right? And our nudge and grid to one frame. So there it is. And you're going to find that in the video, he's going to say, well, you use these quick key commands, right? Well, I don't have that kind of keyboard. I have the small keyboard you get with the iMac. I don't have that fancy keyboard like we have in the studio. So I have to figure out how to do that, right? So we're actually going to work in the grid mode for right now. And I'm going to highlight this track. And if I go place, since we're in the grid mode, I can only place on a grid value. See that? The cursor will only go onto a grid value. So I've got my grid value, my nudge value to one frame, right? So I'm going to go right there. So there's one frame, and I'm going to highlight that by going Option Shift Tab. And so we've highlighted that. We've got one frame of grid value highlighted. Go up to Audio Suite, and we want a signal generator, right? We're going to make some tone, and the tone is you want 1,000 hertz tone at -20 dB. Mine came up default like that. So you're good to go. And you just go render, and we've got a little bit of tone, right? So there's our one frame of tone. And then we need to set a different grid value. We're going to go now to seconds, minutes and seconds. Because what you're going to do is the beep tones should be 3 one-frame tones, and the one-frame tones are going to be a second apart. All right, so now we got a new grid value, and that's of 1 second. And if I Option Shift Tab there and Option Shift Tab again, I've got all that selected. Right, and then if I go Command D for duplicate, I'm going to duplicate it there and duplicate it there. All right, so I've got my 3 tones, and if I go Option Shift Tab, I'm going to select everything to the left. He's got a fancy quick key for that. But that's what I'm going to do there, and go back up to Audio Suite, and now we're going to duplicate that. And it's going to come up, and we're going to render it, and there we have our cue beeps as one file. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's great, right? So now we can go back into the slip mode and place this where we need it. And let's see, that's Sadiq. I conveniently placed Sadiq down here. So he's down here now. And it turns out, I want to see this really, it's good to see the waveform really good, right? Turns out that Sadiq is actually, does a sigh. And so in my performance, I'm going to have to duplicate that sigh. So I'm going to come back to about right there. So it goes beep, beep, beep. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's great. So then I'm going to want to set this up for recording. And let me check my cheat sheets right here. Oh, here's a thing that you really want to look at too. Go to Preferences. Right, and in Preferences, you want to automatically check that this was unchecked. So in the operation setting, make sure you automatically create new playlists when loop recording. So you're going to do that. Make sure that that's checked. All right. I was having a little trouble earlier, and I think it's because I had pre-roll, post-roll on. So I'm going to turn that off and see if that doesn't make it better for me. All right. And then I want to turn on loop record. And so that's right there. So you turn on loop record so you can get ready to do that. And highlight there and there. So that's going to be my loop session. I got this highlighted and that highlighted. And then if I put this into record, it's going to record here. Now remember, I can only play back or record at one time. I can't do them both at the same time because I don't have that digital audio interface. So I got to go back up, set my playback engine to now built-in microphone, my cheesy built-in microphone, and it's going to sound really cheesy over the internet, with you guys. All right, and then I lost the screen share, so it's going to come back. Hang on, let me get the screen share back. So there we are. And then I select my input down here. Now the problem with this setup, and now you're going to see why it's nice to have that digital audio interface. I am not going to be able to hear this track. I'm not going to be able to hear this. I can only listen or I can only output or input at one time. So I'm just going to have to pantomime to it. But I'd like to see you guys give it a shot, you know, to see that you can build a session. So let's see how this works. Turn that right on there, right there. Let's give it a go. Beep, beep, beep. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's great. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's great. And I think I'm going to reset my record out just a little bit longer. Let's do it now. One, two, three, four. So that's great. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. And I'm going to try to look at 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. All right. That's it right there. And those are all of our takes right there. And you're going, okay, yeah, so what about that? Well, if you click on this blue dealio right here, right, we can now, we're making that the main playlist. And then that is the main playlist. If we go down to where it says waveform, now that is, we're going to expose the rest of the playlist. And there's the rest of the playlist that we had, right? Now, anything that's in blue means that this will be the main playlist. This will be the playlist that we'll hear. And why don't we hear that? Why don't we hear that? Okay, we're going to go through this big nosebleed again. Okay, we're back. We're back. And so I could solo this. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. And these didn't work out so well, but these did because I increased the time that I was doing this. Let's say, oh, that's because I was listening to each, I wasn't listening to them, right? So let's see what this sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's great. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. I'm going to turn off Sadiq for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. Okay, so here's what I think I like. I think I like this one. All right, so if I highlight that, and I think all I have to do now, I've highlighted that part, and if I go up like that, it puts it right up here in our main comp track, right? And then I think I liked, was it this one? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. And then what did I think about this one? I forgot already. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. Okay, I like this one here. So that puts that up in the comp track there. And then I like this one at the end. And that puts, and we'll put this one up in the comp track. Now, yeah, it went up. Okay, very good. So we got some bits and pieces here. I better get this out of here because we're going to lose sync. We got some bits and pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. So there we go. And I can mess around with this some more, sliding this over or time compressing it some more or time expanding it some more. But basically I'm Victor now, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. So I probably need to make this a little shorter and then slide that over. So what I would want to see from you guys, if you were going to do this for the real deal, is see a QuickTime file that's, whoa, that is like that long, right? So you make the QuickTime file about that long. And I'd want to see, and I'd want to hear this. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. So I want to hear the cue beeps and I want to hear the composite track. And then what I want to see is all of the different tracks that you used here, right? So I'd like to see the composite track as well. I'm going to let the composite get, no, it's going to do them all the same size. So I want to see some different things in the composite. I want to see your other takes here and the beeps, all right? And the picture, the session only has to be that long. The screenshot only has to be that big, you know, as long as I can see all of the